Ishlab Fruit Solutions Uzbekistan lойиҳаси koordinatori niderlandiyalik biznesmen Альфред Эверс bilan bo'lgan suhbatimizda ular shunday dedi. Niderlandiya qishloq xo'jaligi sohasi rivojlanishining siri oltin uchburchakda, ya'ni hukumat, ilm-fan, xususiy biznes chambarchasligidadir. Muvaffaqiyatli tarzda meva-sabzavot mahsulotlarini yetishtirish uchun eng sifatli navlarini ekish va zamonaviy yetishtirish texnologiyalarini qo'llash zarur. Qishloq xo'jaligini rivojlanishida agronomiya sohasidagi konsalting xizmatlari va qishloq xo'jalik banklarining ahamiyati katta. O'zbekiston hukumatining qishloq xo'jaligida islohotlari, xususan paxta yetishtirishda meva-sabzavotchilik sohasiga o'tishi olqishga sazovordir. Zamonaviy sug'orish texnologiyalari yordamida biz an'anaviy usullarga nisbatan mavjud suv resurslaridan 10 marta samaraliroq foydalanamiz.
Niderlandiyada suv solig'i bor va ushbu soliq katta miqdorda emas. Barcha suv solig'ini to'laydi. Ammo mazkur soliq mablag'lari suv infratuzilmasi uchun ishlatiladi. Hukumat byudjetiga borib tushmaydi.
It's not going to the government.
Ushbu video intervyuning to'liq shaklini yaqin kunlarda ijtimoiy tarmoqlarimizda tomosha qilishingiz hamda intervyu asosida tayyorlangan batafsil maqolani Shirin Meva jurnalida o'qishingiz mumkin bo'ladi.
Good morning, Mr. Fred.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for agreeing to take this interview with us. So we are agriculture, agribusiness magazine. This is called Shirin Meva. It's like sweet fruit, and this magazine is published with the assistance of the European Union and the World Bank, and implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan. So as our sector is horticulture, we are interested about the experience of the Dutch businessmen and exporters. Therefore, we asked you to take interview from you.
Yeah, with pleasure. Yes, if I can be helpful, I will be there.
Thank you very much. Could you please tell about the horticulture equipment suppliers from Holland? It's like it can be storage, pre-sales, post-harvesting equipment. Can you tell about it?
Well, as you know, the Netherlands is one of the biggest producers of horticultural products. This is due to the fact that we manage more or less the whole value chain of fruit production, of also food production. So by managing the chain, we are one of the few countries where you might see that there is an open, transparent cooperation between all the involved stakeholders. For example, we call that in the Netherlands the golden triangle, the cooperation between government institutes who set the rules, the cooperation between research institutes. 2% of our national income is devoted to research, and of course the business people. And the business people in this case are the growers, are the entrepreneurs, are the ones who have to do really the job. So by this so-called golden triangle, we are capable to manage the whole chain. Whether we talk about dairy production, whether we talk about horticulture or ornamental production, say for example, we mentioned before already the flower production.
Yes.
This is easily managed. We have nurseries, we grow, the government sets the rules, and finally the exporters bring it to your country, for example.
Mr. Fred, what do you think? Is our farmers are well acquainted with the Dutch producers' equipment or horticultural solutions, and what can the Dutch companies offer to our market?
I think the Uzbek farmer is a great farmer because he has affinity with production. He has affinity with growing crops. So I think he is very appropriate to adapt certain techniques which we already apply in the Netherlands. And of course, growing is a national process, a natural process, but having the latest varieties, you depend a little bit on the outside world.
Yes.
We in the Netherlands have a lot of nurseries, and we are also very eager to bring them into your country. And that's also what we work on. And we try to introduce the latest varieties of fruit crops into your country. However, under a certain protected framework, and which is the framework of the plant breeding rights. Of course,
I see.
Nurseries are very eager to export their product. However, they want to receive also a kind of compensation, which is the royalty.
Of course. Yes, of course.
Of course, if you use them, it is also good to pay a bit for it, because we have a very nice example that it is no rocket science to have a very high production if you use the latest varieties and the right growing techniques. So increasing the production for the Uzbek farmer is quite easy. Import them, apply the right technology, and you get a yield which might be 5 times as much as the average yield at this moment in the country. Education, so the latest techniques with craftsmanship of the Uzbek farmer, I think you have the right tools to get a good production.
So there is no problem to import high-value seeds, I mean modern varieties of horticulture products to Uzbekistan. I mean the Dutch exporters, seed exporters are ready to sell the
Yes, we are actually here with a mission of 12 companies who are representing the fruit value chain. And out of these 12 companies, 4 companies are involved in nursery production. And they are here to find out which varieties are the best for your climate. Because Uzbekistan has different microclimates. We have been in Fergana, we have been in, of course, the Tashkent region, but also in Samarkand and other regions. And we try to find out which is the best variety for which crop.
How do you analyze this information? Do you have experimental plots here, or do you research the fields where already the Dutch seeds are growing?
Well, our approach is twofold. In Kazakhstan, we have developed a demonstration field where we have planted 6 sorts of fruits and many more varieties. However, Uzbekistan is a different approach, and here we are not going to establish a demonstration field. We are going to look for professional farmers, and we will have variety tests at their fields. We know also your water stress problem in your country.
Yes.
And we are applying all kind of economic water techniques.
That's great.
Actually, that is part of the chain. Part of the chain is that we do apply the latest techniques in water technology. And to save water, because we know quite well, at least I am quite well informed on the water stress problem in Uzbekistan.
Yes, we have.
And we also know that due to the enormous water consumption in the cotton fields, that the government is looking after after economizing the water consumption. and that they will reduce the number of cotton fields and use, say, the water of the cotton fields to promote food production. And if I say food production, it's fruits and vegetables. So, and we are here to promote the fruit sector.
Mr. Fred, what do you think about the agricultural progress in Uzbekistan, and what can the Dutch specialists offer to Uzbekistan in agriculture producing technologies?
What we intend to do, we will start at the end of this year in December with this project on fruit growing techniques. And as I showed you, this is the project, the description of the project, which will start in December. And at the same time, we will participate at your exhibition, AgroWorld, in March. We will, during winter times, we will organize winter schools. That means online lectures. So the factor education is very important. Then during the year we will come back to have some demonstrations on how to prune, how to harvest in the field. So apart from education, we will also dedicate our effort to craftsmanship in the countryside. And the big task, of course, is to find the professional grower who is inclined also to adapt new technologies.
What can you tell about the business associations, especially in consulting for agriculture in the Netherlands? How can they help Uzbekistan to develop agriculture, especially horticulture market?
Yes, I think it is in the Netherlands we had, like in your country, it's called AKIS, eh? AKIS.
Yes.
They are promoting extension. We had a similar form of extension in the Netherlands, and that was also given. But everything what is given, which has, if you don't pay for it, it is not really appreciated.
Yes.
So what the Dutch government did, they professionalized the extension service. And now we don't have anymore a giveaway extension service. You have to pay for the extension. And now it's much more appreciated.
Yes, you're right.
And also within our group we have extension people. So they are commercial consultants who really know what it's all about. Of course you have to pay for it, but I think it is really of high added value to get them on board in the whole process of establishing a cluster in the fruit sector, to obtain a good yield and to obtain a high quality product.
What about the companies like Delphi and Rabobank?
Yeah, I think we are going to look now, well, you don't see it on the screen, but this is a kind of integrated value chain. And the integrated value chain, it starts with the grower and it ends up with the consumer. But all kind of inputs are needed. One of the inputs is consultancy, like Delphi. The other input is banking facilities. If there is nobody who gives you a loan, I think it's nice to talk, but you don't realize anything. So in the Netherlands we have an agricultural bank, which is called the Rabobank, and we have an agricultural service like Delphi. There are more companies, but Delphi is one of them, is the biggest one. And with the input of Delphi, with the input of the Rabobank, the farmer or the grower is capable to buy his input, to buy his pesticides, to buy his seeds, to buy his plants, to buy machinery, and finally to come up with a good result. So I think yes, it is really neat to get these kind of people on board, but it might be advisable to invite them to Uzbekistan to tell them their story. I have my story. I see what the result is, but they have of course much more information to tell you.
Yes. Can you tell about business associations which work and cooperate with both with government and scientists, like research institutes, and which companies or which participants can get the assistance from them, and on what terms, on what conditions?
Yeah, I think every sector in the agricultural world, whether you talk about the dairying, whether you talk about horticulture, whether you talk about the meat sector, or the ornamental sector, growing flowers, every sector has its magazine. Every sector has its association. Every sector has its way of communication. I have one example with me. It's good that you asked me that. I have one example with me, which is on fruit growing. And this is a weekly magazine. And in that weekly magazine, we interview the people from the Wageningen and Research Institute. We interview the Rabobank. We interview Delphi, but we interview as well the growers and how to apply the latest growing techniques. For example, here we have an article on spraying, how to spray. There is an article on how to use drones to detect certain diseases and to apply it in an online way to the sprayers. So there are all kinds of techniques which are communicated. So innovation is promoted by communication. If you work together with the Research Institute, the farmer with his experience, and the government with his rule setting, so I think then a great future is expected for the growers of Uzbekistan.
So for Uzbekistan, it can be a problem for a common grower, for dehkan. It is called dehkan, homestead grower, a small plot of land. For him, for these people, it can be challenging to grow only 2 or 3 varieties of one crop. It's like a specialization of the production. Is it a problem for the Netherlands too, for the Dutch growers, or do they grow many varieties at the same time?
Well, once we find out what is the best variety, I think even for the Deccan farms, it is an important issue to use the latest varieties. But correct me if I'm wrong, I understood that in this country, for the Deccan farms, that you have a kind of, you call them, you call them aggregators. Aggregators, those are organizers who collect the farm products and bring them on the market.
This is how it is established.
I think here the government could intervene by recognizing that mediators or aggregators are very important, but they should work in 2 ways. They should not only buy the product, but also bring the latest products towards the Deccan farms in that way. So there should be an exchange. And I think in that way, yes, there is also a future for the Deccan farms. Not only for the enterprises, for the big farms, for the entrepreneurs, but the Deccan farms, which are, I think, over 1 million of Deccan farms in your country. There can be a great future.
Yeah, that's great business opportunity.
So we look not only for professional big growers and immediate growers, but we are also looking for these aggregators to reach out to the small growers, the Deccan farms.
So it can be a problem all over the world. As you know, we are reforming our agriculture from cotton and the mulberry silkworms production to food production, for example, horticulture production. And to do this, to develop the sector, we need qualified agronomists. So we feel a shortage of qualified agronomists in Uzbekistan. What is the situation in the Netherlands? Do you have such a problem, and how do you cope?
Well, in the Netherlands, yes, we have a similar problem because a lot of youngsters don't want to spend 24/7 in the field. On the other hand, we have scale enlargement. So in the Netherlands, you need, say, 100 hectares to survive. So the small farmers will be phased out, and that will be compensated. So there is a kind of scale enlargement. In that way, we still maintain our craftsmanship. But I agree, also in the Netherlands, we have a lot of winter school activities. So every sector has, during its low season, so during the winter times in general, they have their classes. They have their kind of master class, which they are promoting at the moment to apply the latest techniques. And within our project, as I said, we are in Uzbekistan now. We are planning to have a project for 3 years, together with 12 companies, in a public-private setting. So we have support of the Dutch government, and the Dutch government will supply to Uzbekistan a knowledge module. That means that we will give also a master class on certain issues to create education and craftsmanship. During the 3 years, we will organize this.
So the Netherlands is well known for being sailors, great sailors, and also you manage channels, canals, and the irrigation systems.
Yeah.
What kind of technology or knowledge can the Dutch specialists offer to Uzbekistan in irrigation field? You know that Uzbekistan has water stress for consumption. Can Uzbekistan cooperate with the Netherlands in irrigation development?
Yes, I am very sure that the Netherlands has much to offer regarding knowledge techniques in the water management sector. I would say the water governance sector. Your country has a lot of water stress, but our country has also a lot of water stress. 50% of the land of our country is below sea level. So we have to pump hard to get all the water out, and 50% is above sea level. So we have always to look for a balance to find the right way. Now, I understand well the water stress in your country. The two rivers which are flowing from the east to the west side, who are consuming too much water for the cotton fields. In the Netherlands, we solve the problem by creating water authorities, small units of water management authorities. And I know you have them also in Uzbekistan.
Yes, we have.
But you should give them much more authority. They should work together. They should not work against each other. They should work together. That's one thing. The other thing is that in the Netherlands, the water authority is the only authority in the Netherlands who is allowed to have taxes on water. And the tax on water is not pretty high. Everybody pays for his water, but the tax money which is received is labeled only for waterworks. It's not going to the government. It's only created for the water authorities. So in that way they are capable of organizing their own waterworks, of building dam sites, of taking care of a good sewage system, taking care of good irrigation canals. I think the Netherlands is the only country in the world where you have water tax which is dedicated for waterworks. In other countries you pay also for waterworks, but maybe the money is not labeled for waterworks but goes to health issues or other road building issues. But the Netherlands is unique in that way, yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And then of course this is on the water infrastructure, but on the field itself we are very creative in having a very efficient water method by not using any more furrow irrigation, you know, furrow irrigation, or flooding irrigation like you do in the cotton fields. No, we use trickle or drip irrigation. So you give drop by drop, plant by plant water. And if you compare both techniques, then you see in your cotton fields the water efficiency is maybe not more than 10%. While the water efficiency in this drip irrigation is 90%. So you can use, say, 9 times more field to irrigate the same amount of plants.
That's great. So horticulture, agriculture, horticulture, for example, greenhouses, they use gas. Usually they use gas, and its exposure, it's harm to the environment. How do the Netherlands cope with this issue? We know that Netherlands have a lot of greenhouses. How do you protect the environment while using intensive technologies, for example, greenhouses with gas?
We have all kind of new techniques. Of course, everybody knows that energy prices are soaring.
Yes.
And at this moment, you will see that the Netherlands is using quite a lot of alternative resources for energy. And this can be water power, it can be nuclear power, but it can also be sun power. So by covering the roofs with sun tablets and so on and so on. So that's what you see at this moment. Even in orchards, there are at this moment test fields in orchards where you have sun tablets which are transparent. So they are partly used as a cover to protect the apples and pears against heavy rainfall, but at the same time they are collecting energy. So it's a dual process.
And are they feasible? I mean, financially feasible? And are the types of energy sources, for example, solar and nuclear, also water and energy, are they feasible, economically feasible to replace gas-powered greenhouses?
I think, of course, what happened recently is geopolitical setting. It was an overfall. So, but I am sure if there is pressure on the cooker, that within a few years we invent something new, which is surprising. I'm 100% sure. Normally, look for example at the whole corona problem. Normally it takes 10 years to invent a new vaccine. Now they developed a new vaccine within 1 year and a half. So I think when the pressure is there, we are ready to do some more research, and we will have an alternative for the energy. So I am very positive about the future on energy. We don't depend on gas only.
Uzbekistan has gas production.
Yes.
So for us, gas is not very expensive. And can Uzbek producers, greenhouse operators, use another energy sources like water power or solar power energy to power the greenhouses? Would it be economically feasible for Uzbek growers? Because this is environmentally protective methods. We need to protect the environment.
Of course, looking into the future, I think for the time being, it is good to have gas as a transition towards new methods. And you just need to look at, say, the other world, what kind of methods they are going to use. And then it's a matter of looking whether it's feasible to have the solar energy used in greenhouses. I cannot predict that, but you have to look outside and to look at the Netherlands or to look at other countries which are really dependent on these kind of power, because we are producing, of course, in the wrong season. We are producing tomatoes in winter time due to the fact that gas was cheap. Now we have to be very reluctant and very careful that we will select or the right country to produce the tomatoes in summertime or winter time, or not to produce, or to produce it in another way. So yes, but maybe there is also a great future for you as Uzbek country with relative cheap energy to export towards countries which are in need in winter time of healthy products. So.
Also, for example, for equipment, for example, mobile equipment or computers, they were produced in the USA, in Europe, and now they're mostly more widely produced in developing countries, or for example in China. Is it possible, for example, for Dutch companies to enter the Uzbekistan market and to produce, for example, horticultural products with their seeds, with their technology, and to sell, for example, to export to other countries? What do you think? Can the Dutch agriculture companies use Uzbekistan land, also the infrastructure to produce?
Well, I think Uzbekistan has the unique position in Central Asia, that it is the country with the highest population, with over 30 million people. Over 30 million people who have a big affinity with agriculture. So yes, I think you could be a big supplier of food and fruit products, so say fruits and vegetables towards your neighboring countries. All the facilities are there. So there is no restriction according to that. And once there is a market, I am sure that a lot of companies from outside, whether they are from the Netherlands or any other country, that they are interested to start up their activities also in this country. And I know that also from government side, they are much interested in creating here their own nurseries. So yes, why not? I think if you prove that you can produce, and if you can produce also an export, and if you qualify for export, and if the farmers do have certificates like Global Gap and whatsoever, then the market is ready to receive also producers of hardware or to reproduce plants in nurseries.
Thank you, Mr. Fred. There is the last question. What do you think do the Dutch people like Uzbek fruits and vegetables, and is it possible to have a place on the Dutch market for Uzbek horticulture products? Can we export Uzbek products to the Netherlands?
Well, I visited your ambassador not that long ago. He has his residence and the embassy in Brussels. So it's the real center in Europe. And I was referring also to these kind of issues, but I think the embassy, your Uzbek embassy, could play an important role in introducing your products on the market in the Netherlands. By creating an open day, by convincing the farmers here to pay attention to certification of your fresh products, and that the Uzbek airlines will fly your products to Brussels. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fred,
Okay.
for a nice and interesting interview.
Okay, thanks a lot.